Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content. And if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Spyderco Police 4 Lightweight in, oh, it's right there, K390. What is K390? K390 is some pretty serious stuff. We are up there in the, I don't know, I always talk about Rex 45 and Maximate when I talk about K390. Not stainless, super incredible edge retention and really tough. These steels are kind of like, when we talk about K390, Maximate, and CPM Rex 45, we're talking about CPM M4's sort of weird cousins that are, really, they're just jacked. It's kind of in that area. Those are all steels that I would kind of compare to. Many people, if you Google K390, the vast majority of what you'll read will say something like CPM M4 on steroids. As usual, though, I'm not an expert on that stuff. Even going out and using knives, I still can't give you the scientific information behind it. So I would recommend that you check out Knife Steel Nerds for a more detailed readout on steel and K390 in general. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. There's a link for my Patreon right down in the description. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This knife was sent to me by the good, the great, the Nick Shabazz. Thank you so much, Nick, for sending this in. Absolutely something I wanted to take a look at. This is a big boy. Let's go ahead and get some measurements here. Overall length of the Spyderco Police 4 in K390. Holy crap. 10 inches? Really? I know I've reviewed a different version of the Police 4 before, but I couldn't remember exactly how long it was. 10 inches. Blade length is technically, it's not quite 4.5. It's like 4.3 inches, and then your cutting edge is 4 inches. Goodness gracious. Let's do some size comparisons up against the measly Ontario Rat Model 1. Let's move this down a little bit. And its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2. So yeah, you can see there, big knife. Let's do some Spydercos. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and Spyderco Para 3? Yeah, wow, this thing is huge. Last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. Obviously, huge, right? Let's go ahead and do carry profile. So this is and you can see here, this is a lockback. This is not a thick knife. Up against the Spyderco Para 3, you can see here it's actually thinner than the Spyderco Para 3, so that's cool. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here, obviously, it is much longer. Height is definitely going to be, in fact, no, it actually is taller, even with the PM2 on top. The Police 4 here is definitely taller. So, while it is thinner, the issue here is that this thing is just big. No matter which way you look at it. And so that's going to bother some people and not others. But if you've ever had a problem with the PM2 or Para 3, which are two of the most popular knives that exist, you're definitely going to have a problem with this guy, right? But if you haven't, then maybe it's not going to be that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness here real quick. God bless America. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and, there's my calipers right there. Zero amount. I'm going to guess that's about 125 thousandths, maybe 130. No, it's like, no way. There's no way it's that thin. Absolutely not. I refuse to believe that. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, there you go, guys. It's really not a thick blade. Let me get it up here against the... Oh yeah, okay, well, it is substantially thin. The presence of this thing is just absolutely bananas. It kind of looks like a banana. Anyways... yeah, it's not a thick blade stock, so you can imagine how thin that blade gets down there. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and do weight. We are looking at FRN. I mean, this is a lot of knife, but the materials used to create this knife, right, are going to be lightweight. I believe we do have a steel cartridge liner in there. Flashlight, being lazy today, so you can see, yeah, there's some steel in there for sure, and of course, the back lock is going to be steel. Overall weight on this guy, I think it's going to be pretty impressive either way. Oh, just over 4 ounces, 4.16 ounces. That's still, for a lot of people, is going to be pretty shocking and amazing. It does definitely meet that ounce and inch mark that a lot of people go by. So there you go. Hardware check. I mean, but again, number one, this is going to be illegal for a lot of people because of the blade length. And number two, even though it does hit those ratios, it's still a huge object. A lot of people are just going to be like, that's great. Ratios are great. Lightweight materials for how big it is. It's still going to be too big for me, right? So no universal system. Just do with that information what you will. I'm going to guess that pivot is, well, it might be T8. Let's take a look here. That one's T8. You can get my tools down in the description. They're very inexpensive and very recommendable, if I didn't say that. I want to try one up. I think that's T8. Let's try the T10. Just because of with other Spydercos. No. You know, this is weird, but I'm going to try a T9. Really? No, the T9 doesn't fit. I mean, it kind of wants to go in there, but I'm going to call that a T8. T8 gets snug. The T9 kind of wants to lip in there at the top. That's kind of just a weird pivot. That's T8. The rest of these screws are going to be T6. You can take this apart. I mean, you can. I don't know that I would want to. The weird thing here, so they use the Spyderco clip with the hole in it because normally this design has a lanyard hole right here, but it kind of looks stupid because the hole goes nowhere. That's like a door in your living room where you open it up thinking, oh, I can use this to exit the house, and then there's just a brick wall there like in a cartoon. So that's, I don't know. It kind of looks silly, but okay. Anyways, I think we can move on here. So, much the same as the G10 and Steel Police 4 that I reviewed. That thing was discontinued in 2017. I think that thing, curiously, was also in K390, which I was definitely not aware of K390 in 2017. This thing has a crazy amount of room on the handle. You can choke all the way back here and still get a 4-finger grip on that guy. I don't know what we'd be doing here. Maybe chopping, right? And then you can kind of scoot up. We've got a full position here. So that's 2, then 3, right? And then 4, I would say 4 truly solid positions to put your hands in. And we're just talking about, you know, when we're gripping down. The further back you go, the more uncomfortable it is because of the clip, but choked up, it's very, very comfortable. So that clip might be more or less of a problem depending on where you're holding it. This is obviously a, well, with it being called the police, I mean, this is definitely going to be something that might be attractive or more beneficial, you know, to a first responder. Any type of first responder using that scenario. I can't speak on that because I have never done that, right? But it also is going to make a very good outdoor hard use tool. This, to me, this is something that I would want to bring with me hiking or camping for long periods of time. A nice, long, slender blade that is absolutely going to get put to use, but a big, heavy-duty object that's not going to weigh me down while I'm carrying it. So yeah, that's the role that I would. As far as EDC, like just daily carry, knock yourself out. If it's legal and you just like big knives, go ahead. But this is so massively overkill for general EDC. To me, this is very specific purpose, right? So. But yeah, I mean, it's going to fit that role really, really well. This injection mold plastic that Spyderco uses is definitely durable. There would be no issue whatsoever. In fact, I'm going to show you guys. I've had the Ladybug in K390 on my keychain forever, and it is not babied. This thing is the, oh crap, I left my pocket knife on the dresser and I got to open this box, or somebody that, hey, you got a knife? Yeah, I got one on my keys. And it cuts, and I intentionally have not cleaned it off because I was like, this K390 stuff is wild. Same thing with Maximate, right? I've been using my Maximate Para 3 and it doesn't get babied either, but I've intentionally just not cleaned it because I wanted to see like what happens if I just don't clean it for like a year. I've had that. You might be wondering, how long have you had that K390 keychain knife? For like a year. This is just now, I mean, this right here, you're seeing is not corrosion. This is just like adhesive from boxes and stuff, just stuck to it. There is some patina, but I'm 100% certain that I could clean this blade off and it might look kind of like this, right? You can see that this one has developed some patina, and that's going to be the case with K390. This is, This blade did that, where Nick lives, and I don't know, how much, if it was him, or if it, if this is somebody else's knife they sent to him. I'm not really sure. Probably his, right? So it's probably the corrosion that, or not corrosion, but it's probably the patina that occurred out where he lives. But here in Kansas, it's not really something that's been an issue, right? We talk about my Para 3 all the time. Maximate, that has similar stainless qualities to K390, not the same, but similar. It just hasn't really developed that much of a patina. It's not really had that much of an issue. And I might oil the Maximate once a month. This guy doesn't get oiled at all. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I could clean all that off and it'd be okay, right? Some of this darker area up here is the true patina, but that's not really a big deal to me, right? It's not really causing an issue. You might be wondering, how about that edge? Well, take a look. I have not touched that edge up. I've not sharpened it. I've not done anything to it. Now, it hasn't seen incredibly hard use, but you can see there are no chips or anything. I have definitely run this thing into staples on accident a few times. Get a piece of paper for you here, and I'll show you. Now, this thing is no laser beam anymore, but a year of zero maintenance. See if I can get it to bite. Yeah, it's still cutting. This is after a year. It's not wanting to bite into the paper super well, and that's because the paper's folding. But if I can get it to bite, I can show you guys. Darn it. I did this before the video started, and to make sure that it actually still, there we go. So it is still definitely wanting to cut, but it's just needing a touch-up. That's pretty crazy, right? I'm pretty impressed with K390. It is serious. I mean, we're talking about intense edge holding capabilities, but at the same time, toughness. The nice thing with that is, there are no rolls there are no nicks to sharpen out. It's just an edge that needs to be touched up. So I don't have to do any reprofiling or anything like that. I don't have to go at it with like a 50 grit to get something out. When I nick I really don't like sharpening M390, and I like it, but it tends to be so much more chippy and so much more prone to things like that. And I hate reprofiling. I hate having to grind those out. I just want to sharpen it. It just takes so much less time. So while K390, Maximate, Rex 45, M4, all the steels in that family, not that they really are in the family, right? But those steels that I lump together, while they definitely are, difficult to sharpen, they're made a little bit easier by the fact that they're likely not going to have as many. They're not as likely to chip, right? So that's pretty cool. Blade profile on Sky, big long pelican looking thing. It works really, really well. This knife really will cut a pine. I always joke about like big long blades that can cut pineapples in half. Yeah, I mean, if you needed to do that with a pocket knife, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing where I kind of like the idea of bringing something like this on a camping trip. Now, if you're going to be cutting, you're going to be processing like wood and a bunch of other stuff, you're going to be digging this blade into the ground, and, you don't want to be cutting into a poisonous mushroom and then turn around and cut a pineapple up that you're going to eat. Obviously, you're going to want to clean the blade off and sterilize it if that's going to be the case. But if you needed a big, long knife that could help you cut up food or something like that on a camping trip, I mean, this is going to do it. It's also definitely a blade that can be used for long periods of time, processing things like wood or just heavy, dense materials. That K390 is going to do that super, super well. Again, the only, drawback, the only big drawback to K390 is the fact that it's not stainless. So you do have to, it's not a knife that you can just leave outside, in the rain. If you drop it on a camping trip and it rains, you can't just leave that outside and expect everything to just be great in the morning. I mean, I'm sure it'll still be okay, but yeah, if you left it outside for a week, you're definitely going to have some pretty serious corrosion on there. So you don't want to do that. Obviously, if you work in or around the ocean, right, or if you work with a lot of water, it's probably not going to be the best choice. But general maintenance, right, cleaning the blade off after you use it, or, for me, like with light use, oiling it once a month or so is probably going to be the way to go. And that's easy to do. Spyderco logo looks great. Spyderco K390. This is Seki City, Japan, and this is a Sal Glesser design. So that's pretty cool. Satin finish, of course, looks good. It is not really all that sharp up there. They did kind of knock that down. Absolutely a ridiculously thin edge. I also like that these just ever so slightly angled down at the tip. It makes me, maybe I don't really know what I'm talking. It makes me feel like it digs into packages a little bit better. So that's nice. There's no sharpening choil. That's just Spyderco. They just do that. Action feels great. It's very easy to manipulate despite being so big. It is a backlock though, so it's not quite as fidgety as some of the modern folding knives we're used to. You absolutely can reverse flick this thing, and you absolutely can manipulate it with one hand, and you can kick it out with your thumb. So there you go. I mean, you can do it. I always used to complain about this spot on the scales. I was like, why do they do that? It's so stupid and ugly. Well, as many people have explained to me many times, it's the spot for the pocket clip to rest so that the pocket clip is not pinching the material of your pants between itself and the grippy surface texture that they've got right here that's going in lots of different directions, which is to hold your hand in place, right? So while it may not be the prettiest thing in the whole world, and it's kind of silly that it says Spyderco Police 4 right there, at least in my opinion, it does serve a purpose, so that's fine. The knife feels absolutely solid. I'm not the biggest fan of injection mold plastic just because it feels a little cheaper than G10. But when it's reinforced by in this case, a steel cartridge liner, it does feel absolutely solid. The pocket clip is 4-way mountable, and this is a totally ambidextrous lock. So right or left-handed, preferences with tip up, tip down, carry, it doesn't matter. You can mount it. You can mount the clip however you want. There's just a little hole there that doesn't go anywhere, which is kind of funny. Why they prioritize that screw or the position of the screw above the pocket clip is beyond me. I'm still hesitant to call this shallow carry because so much of this knife is still in your pocket. So I don't know. I wish the pocket clip was a little bit higher. It's not. If you want to, you can buy an MXG deep carry clip for it. Something like this. This one is specifically for the Spyderco Para 3. But the standard one that they normally, that they make for like the PM2, which is not on this guy at the moment, it will fit this guy. And then that issue, I think, will largely be solved if you really need it to carry deep. But I don't think it's really that big of an issue as far as where it carries. I just really hate that it looks weird, right? There's no reason for the lanyard hole to be there, right? So, I mean, and that's normally the reason why the pocket clip is lower, is to make room for that. So the clip, the carry position is made lower because that hole has to be there and that screw has to be there. So we have to, right, eliminate those two things, and this is what you'd see. Not that the deeper that it carries, the better it is. It's just funny to me. So there you go. That's kind of a whatever. Centering. Looks like it's centered. Lockup. I don't expect there to be any play. Yeah, no blade play up, down, left, or right. Nice and smooth. Everything feels great. What does this come in at? This particular guy comes in at $164. Obviously, there's not a lot of that is going into the construction. Well, I mean, these are constructed very, very well, right? I mean, it's similar to a Spyderco Delica, which you can get for like $80, and a lot of people think that thing is overpriced. What is it, 80, 85, something like that? Well, what you're paying for here is K390. Now, the K390 steel is not really being done by hardly anybody else right now. I mean, I think maybe a few people. I don't really know. It might just be Spyderco. And Spyderco does a great job with their heat treat. I've had a great experience with K390, as you guys saw with my keychain knife there. Of course, Spyderco is always doing great cutting geometry. So $164, it still feels a little bit high to me. I mean, this feels more like $140, but it's like I always say, for whatever reason, I just default to this, like, it's great, but I wish it was 20 to 25 less. I mean, yeah, I wish everything was 20 to 25 less, right? That would be fantastic, but it isn't. So is this a purpose-built tool, one that's going to do exactly what it was designed to do, or at least what I would want it to do? Yes, absolutely. It's made well. This is going to be a long-term cutting beast, and it should be, for a steel of this caliber, somewhat easy to maintain. You're still going to have a hard time getting it right. I mean, it's going to take longer to get that hair-popping edge on K390 than, a steel like VG10. It's longer than steels like even, we're talking D2, S45VN, even M390. It's going to take longer than that, but it's pretty tough. You remove some of those stainless qualities, and oftentimes you get more toughness. That's generally, I think, the aim there. So yeah, K390 is very impressive, and I think you guys will find that to be the case, generally speaking, in the knife community. If you kind of look around on Google or the forums, that's generally going to be the case. So I'll choke down the price. I think a lot of people are going to like this. Is this going to be for everybody? Absolutely not. It's freaking huge. But if you're going to pick up a Police 4, right? I mean, Spyderco's doing a lot of their Japanese line, right? The Endura, the Delica, the Andella, and of course, like I think the Dragonfly and the Police 4, which I think is the super big boy. They're doing them in K390, and I think across the board, those are the best. Those are the ones that, to me, are the best value. They're more money, but the steel is vastly more capable, other than corrosion resistance, right? I would much rather pay more money for, and I know there's not I think this might be like one of the only Police 4s out there right now, but I can't remember if they did one in S30V or what, or maybe they did a version in VG10. Let's take the Delica, for example. I'd rather spend more money for a K390 Delica than save a little bit and pay $85 for the VG10. No. Take my money and give me K390, definitely. So can I recommend this knife? Yeah, I think so. Just, you got to be somebody who is, either really, really wants a big knife, or, it's legal to carry, right? And maybe you're going to use, I wouldn't recommend something like this for EDC. It's going to be kind of alarming if this is the only cutting object you have on your person to whip this out, right? But I think if you're looking for a really good tool, you need a big knife, or you just feel more comfortable, carrying a larger knife. People with truly XL-sized hands, you're going to find that this is just a fantastic and super reliable cutting tool. So yeah, it'll be going on my recommended knives playlist and my Spyderco knives playlist. This will have a link right down below. When I checked on Blade HQ before I did the video, it showed that they were in pre-order status, but I did find that they were available in some other places. So perhaps by the time you're seeing this, it will be readily available down in the description. Thank you again to Nick Shabazz for sending this in for review. Guys, make sure you follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.